tonight to kick off our series with three great speakers. We're going to get them introduced and we'll get started with the program. First, we're very happy to welcome to the campus, back to the campus, Michael DiVirgilio. Michael's been just a really important part of our community, serves on our Long-Range Planning Advisory Council. You see his bio. A key part of his background was his help with Congresswoman Harman in helping Marymount College capture our Palos Verdes Drive North campus. That was a big part of our growth nearly 13, 14 years ago, and Congresswoman Harman was a big part of that. Next over, we got Craig DeRoy. Welcome, Craig. Craig is in his second or third career, but at this point in time, again, a great friend of the college. He serves with his lovely wife, Lauren, as the co-directors of the Medem Institute. You see he has a background in the real estate-related field, and tonight you're going to hear about his work in his second career in helping folks in emerging countries in terms of entitling their land. Third gentleman here tonight, Jonathan Brown. Jonathan, just a couple doors away, Jonathan was here at a very formative time in the college's history. He met with our board of trustees when he served as president of the Association of Independent California Colleges and Universities, and he was certainly one of the folks who was there at the beginning, helping our board make the decision about becoming a four-year college. Thank you, Jonathan, so much.
So what I thought I'd talk about tonight is actually something it was very nice of you to actually acknowledge me related to my work with Congresswoman Harman. What most people acknowledge me for, though I prefer that, what most people acknowledge me for, which I wanted to talk to you tonight about, is my experience as a local elected official. This past November 2011, I was just elected to my second term on the Hermosa City Council, and I'm in the first year of that second term. And I began my life, really for the first 30 years of my life, thinking that I was going to do something masterful with science and technology. I thought I wanted to be the next CEO of General Electric for a good part of my teens and 20s. I went to school to be a mechanical engineer. I studied manufacturing. I worked for tech firms. It's really what I thought I was going to do. I woke up about when I turned 30 and realized what I really wanted to do with my life was work in public service. And so I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I learned being an elected official. And why I thought that was unique is sort of the nexus of two things. One, an elected official is though we sort of idolize and severely criticize our national elected officials, all of them, especially ones in the local level, get into some very unique circumstances. And for me, at least, I found them to be very unique and very educational. And I also found them to be educational in ways that I didn't anticipate. So I was thinking about tonight, well, I could talk about the value of preparing. I could talk about the value of having a vision and keeping that in your mind. But what I thought I would do is tell you about a few of the things, share with you a few of my experiences that brought me great value unexpectedly. And the three of them have to do with, one is listening, the second is my ego, and the third is actually caring for oneself. And those three things, I should say, as an elected official, there's really no loss of opportunity to be schooled and educated on how to do things better, because one would tend to be in a position where people can critique you all the time about really just about anything. And so to get used to that is something of a feat, especially to really digest it. And so these are the three things I thought would be most valuable tonight. I mentioned listening because I find listening intently to people to be one of the most critical skills that I have tried to get strengthened and master, because it's access to solving unsolvable problems. And so when I say listening, I don't necessarily just mean I sat here and I listened and I heard in my ears, the noise Dr. Brophy was making as he was speaking, that's listening, right? And I listen to that. And I say noise just so that tends to be how we listen to things, right? We hear a noise. What I have really tried to do, listening as an elected official, and I have found it's given me solutions to things that are totally out of the box, is listening for the gold in what people say. And so I have somebody berating me, complaining to me about a situation they're totally unsatisfied with that I may be responsible for, I may not be, but they're not satisfied and they're complaining to me. I try to listen for what the gold is in what they're saying. What's the commitment behind what they're saying? In essence, it gets to an outlook I have about people and about life, which is that you can't be 100% wrong all the time. And so if somebody's taken their time to actually share a critique with me about something they want better in Hermosa, there's got to be something in what they're saying that is brilliant. There's something that's valuable in what they're saying. And when I can find those things, and sometimes when people are mean to me, it's hard to find. I mean, imagine, right? If somebody's angry with you, it can get very hard. But it actually is, more often than almost anything else, the catalyst to some of the smartest solutions I've been able to pull off in Hermosa is I actually heard somebody who was upset with me or critiquing the process. I heard their complaint, and I used their feedback to help solve the problem, right? Two adversaries forces solving the problem. Changing the gears to the second thing I thought would be valuable is the word ego. Does everybody know what the word ego generally means? Right? It's usually, when we refer to it, we think of it as egotistical, right? Somebody arrogant. And being an elected official who is committed to producing positive results, which is how I try to frame my role, I learned very early that one of the biggest things that gets in the way is my own ego, my own desire to look good, my own desire to be the best, to be the most popular, right? To be the most popular elected official, my own desire to be liked, or for people to think that I'm the smartest. And the times when I have been able to not be somebody who doesn't have an ego, right? Because I'm human. I want to be liked. I totally want to be the best. I want you to like my solution better than my colleague's solution. But when I can acknowledge my ego for what it is, right? That's always going to be there. I'm always going to want to have the best solution. I'm always going to want to come in first. When I can acknowledge that, I can set it aside, and I can actually sort of give up being in first, right? And no longer then do I debate to get my name on things. No longer do I need to have a solution that takes into account what I want, what serves Michael best. And it's a very hard thing to do. But when I can do that, another way to sort of say it is, a lot of times what I try to do, also a sort of a tip of being effective, and I think that this is both effective in the public sphere, but it can be effective in a marriage. I do this with my wife, and it can be effective in business, and I do this with my clients and in my own business, is I actually give things away. So sometimes when I actually have an idea, or sometimes when somebody has an idea that may be slightly less appealing than mine, I go with their idea anyway. I'll let them have the credit. And I don't mean this in a crass way. I'll let them be the one that wins. I'll let them be the one whose ego is satisfied. Because if I'm trying to get a solution out the door, Hermosa Beach recently solved a decades-long fight with an oil company. One of the reasons we solved that is we let somebody else take credit for the solution. And what that did was it took the pressure off of who was going to get credit. I don't know if that's landing, because it'd probably be easier if I could come up with an example that would relate to everybody in this room. But so often, fights, debates, disagreements, I have disagreements with my 4 colleagues all of the time. But so often, if I can just give up having my name on it, I then get to contribute to the solution in a way that I couldn't when I needed my name on it. Does that make sense? I like to think of it when I'm doing it as a jujitsu move, right? It's sort of the jujitsu move. We continue to go where I want to go, but I'm no longer fighting over who has control. And by not fighting over who has control, the train goes. Now both of us are on board, or in some cases with my colleagues, all 5 of us are on board, and I don't need to get credit. And at the end of the day, and it certainly seems like there's a lot of politicians who want to only take credit, but at the end of the day, there's so many times in life, there's so many times just in my 5 years on the council to take credit for things. There's so many times I get credit, I'm given credit for things I didn't do. Things that I actually just showed up for, helped with the ribbon cutting to a new building or a new street, and I only put an hour worth of work into it, but I got credit. There's so many times I get credit for things. My trust is that there's going to be more times to get credit for things later, and when I realize that I'm committed to a particular goal or an outcome with my colleagues, typically it's a solution to fix a problem in Hermosa. Usually it has to do with not enough money for something. When I can give up getting credit, we get the solution more quickly. One of the things that helps me be able to give that up, because it's really hard, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one like this in the room, but it's hard to give up credit. It's hard to give up having your name on, especially as a politician, it's hard to give up having your name on the plaque, right? I have a little mental note in my mind that while I am an elected official, you will never, ever see my name on a plaque. I'm not sure if that's important to the Hermosa residents or not, but it's one of the things that helps me manage my integrity or my commitment to myself called, I don't need to take credit first. I'll take credit if it comes, but I want to deliver the result first. One of the things that I believe gives me the strength to do this, and nobody ever talks about this when they talk about leadership. I should rephrase it. People don't normally talk about this in a detailed way when they talk about leadership, when they talk about what makes a CEO or an executive very, very effective, is taking care of oneself. A lot of times you'll see somebody say, like I read something about President Obama recently, who was saying one of the things that he does every day is he exercises. And I think a lot of times you can see, you see executives talk about that. You see effective people saying exercising is the way that I stay focused, or the way that I release my stress. I agree with those. Exercise helps stay focused, helps relieve stress. One of the things the aspect of it that I call self-care that doesn't get discussed, and I think it's one of the most critical things for me to remain sane, to continue to be positive, continue to be engaged and interested, continue to actually listen for somebody's goal and care about somebody's goal when they're yelling at me, or to give up credit, is that I actually spend a lot of time. It's probably the thing I do almost more than anything else, is I spend a lot of time reflecting upon who I am, why I'm here, and what my short range and long range goals are. And I remind myself. A very pedestrian version of that is in my shower. If you can imagine, I'm standing in the shower and the water's coming down, laminated are those things. Who I am as a leader. I'm a self-expressed leader. I'm a leader who has integrity and compassion, a leader who's committed to serving the constituents of Hermosa. Why I'm here. And then the promises I've made to myself and to my family and to the Hermosa residents. And I try to be very specific. And seeing those, it's not just about seeing in the shower, but I use that as an example, as a physical example. Reminding myself of those every day is one of the most fortifying things I have been able to do to make sure that when I'm out there on the flimsy branches, and I'm the only one there because nobody else has agreed with my idea, or I might look stupid, or I might have made a mistake. I have the ability to come back to the faith, the trust of who I am, of how I got here, of what's most important. And at the end of the day, those are the things that continue to drive me and to continue to keep me present and focused and able to step out the next day and be a leader again, and be a leader with quality in mind, not just be a leader with, I want my name on a plaque.